You're 11 years old and you're suing the United States government. That's not what most 11-year-olds do, right?
Yeah. I fear that I won't have a home here in the future, that the island will be underwater because of climate change.
How important is this case to you?
This case is everything. This is the climate case. We have everything to lose if we don't act on climate change right now. My generation and all the generations to come.
Well, 21 young plaintiffs are suing the federal government, claiming it knew about the dangers of climate change and failed to protect them. And while the Trump administration has already lost 5 appeals, our next guest still argues this lawsuit is doomed. Steve Milloy is a member of the Trump EPA transition team and author of Scare Pollution, Why and How to Fix the EPA, and he joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, I see this.
Good morning, Jedediah.
Great book title, by the way, Scare Pollution. But I see this and I see, in my mind, kids being used as propaganda. Obviously, this lawsuit has been a long time coming. This isn't something that just popped up overnight. Do they have any kind of case here, though?
Well, you're right. I mean, these are kids being used by adults as human shields to advance their political agenda. This is ideological child abuse. It's got nothing to do with the climate. It's about advancing a political cause. They have no case. It may go a couple rounds in the Ninth Circus, which is, more of a circus than a court. But when it gets to the Supreme Court, I'm confident the Supreme Court will say this is a political question, that if we are going to do anything on climate, it should be decided by Congress, not by the courts.
They're saying, though, that it violates their constitutional rights. I mean, these kids have either done their research or someone has done it for them and handed it to them. But is that possible? I mean, is there a constitutional right to a certain climate? Did I miss that?
Well, interestingly enough, a federal district court judge ruled last week that there is no constitutional right to a certain climate, whatever you think that might be. It's pretty easy to show that, contrary to what was said on 60 Minutes last night, that U.S. emissions are not really important anymore for climate. The United States could shut down today and remain shut down for the next 100 years. It would make no difference to atmospheric CO2 emission levels or climate.
I want to get to Julia Olson. That's the Oregon lawyer representing the 21 youth plaintiffs. Take a listen to what she had to say. I want to get your reaction.
You're just saying do it. We don't care how.
Do it well and do it in the time frame that it needs to be done.
You're talking about a case that could change the economics in this country.
For the better.
What's your reaction to that, Steve?
Well, she has no idea what she's talking about. I mean, the United States is a very small part of global, even if you believe the junk science, climate hysteria mantra, the United States is a very small part of global emissions. There's nothing the United States can do to change global climate or the weather. It's just ridiculous. She's just, being an advocate for a political cause.
This is a trend, though. We recently saw Dianne Feinstein being interrupted in her office by the Sunrise Movement, kids from that movement. It seems to be a trend now that particularly people on the left are using, which is that, and it's not new. Remember, you saw when Obamacare was signed in, you saw a child standing next to President Obama. But when it comes to climate issues, people on the left seem to be utilizing young people because they can then say, our future is at stake. It's very compelling. If those politicians negate that or are dismissive, as Dianne Feinstein was, it becomes a means to cut that video and send it out and pressure politicians. Is this going to get worse?
Well, you raise a very interesting point. Last week, Angela Merkel got in trouble because she intimated that the Russians were behind this climate youth movement. In Europe, this is especially taken hold. And so I wouldn't be surprised to find that there's some of that going on here.
Right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Really, really appreciate it. And we'll see as the election approaches if we get more kid propaganda coming our way. Thank you so much.
Sure.